This morning we are pretty quiet, but we do have a new update from the Storm Prediction Center showing the chance for some strong to severe storms later on today. We're going to walk through this on Futurecast coming up.
Vice President Kamala Harris will be back in North Carolina today, marking her 7th visit to the state this year. We'll take a look at how law enforcement is stepping up security after Saturday's assassination attempt on Donald Trump.
And for the first time since he survived that attempt, the former president will address the nation to wrap up the Republican National Convention. The issues he's expected to highlight in his speech tonight.
And some students in Wake County need your help gathering supplies for the upcoming school year. How you can help them get prepared. Oh, summer flying by. 5.5 weeks until school starts for Wake County traditional students. It is 4:30. Great to have you with us as we get into the mindset of a cooler summer this week.
That would be welcome. That would be great. I'm Jeff Hogan. It's great to have you along, and that you just woke some people up with the 5.5 weeks. Oh, they're thinking about it now. And Anthony Baglione over in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We're thinking about this severe risk that's in our area today.
Yeah, the Storm Prediction Center guys put this out this morning here, just in the past couple of hours. And what they've done is they've added in this yellow risk, the level 2 out of 5 that we're going to watch here today. It's not a big severe threat, but it's a period of time when, of course, it could be pretty active out there as far as people out and about enjoying your Thursday. About 3 to 8 p.m. is when we're expecting that potential for some strong to severe storms. We're relatively quiet right now on radar. We have some light shower activity that has pushed out of our viewing area. That's moving out. Places like New Bern are going to be starting to see that here pretty shortly. Let's go through Futurecast. So no rain gear needed for you this morning as you're headed out. You're looking good. We're just tracking some cloud cover across the area. We take Futurecast ahead to 7 o'clock this morning for the commute. Again, I think we're looking good. Maybe a stray sprinkle, but Futurecast is a little bit overdone there. Lunchtime, and then we get into the afternoon. There's 3 o'clock where we're going to have that peak heating of the day into the later on, and we start to see some of these cells that could be a little bit stronger. The main concern for us would be some gusty winds. A lot of times that we see here during these summertime thunderstorms. Very, very low end tornado threat. I don't expect us to see hail. Localized flooding would be a potential, but this is mainly going to be a gusty wind potential as we head through the rest of today. We're going to talk about those temperatures, though, that start to go down here the next couple days, and more rain chances, guys, coming up here in just a few minutes.
Anthony, thanks. Vice President Kamala Harris is headed to Fayetteville today. This will be her 7th time coming to North Carolina this year. But this visit comes less than a week after a gunman nearly killed former President Trump. WRAL's Destiny Patterson joins us live from City Hall in Fayetteville. And Destiny, no doubt security will be tight today.
Renee, Vice President Kamala Harris is expected to arrive at the Pope Army Airfield just before 2 this afternoon. And the details around her visit are still not clear, including the location at this hour. They're not made to the public. Given the shooting that happened at former president's rally last weekend, we talked to the former Fayetteville police chief ahead of today's visit. Harold Medlock tells us there will be snipers on rooftops as well as K-9 units and extra Fayetteville police officers patrolling the area.
Chief Braden and the Fayetteville Police Department, and I'm sure the Sheriff's Office and the North Carolina Highway Patrol are all over this to make sure that it's safe and secure and that they can have a good visit. And then again, to make sure that the city, remains open for business.
Cumberland County Sheriff's Office tells me they are not providing security, but will be ready to assist if needed. Harris was just in Greensboro a week ago as the Biden-Harris campaign has ramped up efforts to sway voters here in North Carolina. The vice president is only expected to be here for about an hour. She'll head back to D.C. just before 3 o'clock this afternoon. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Fayetteville.
You can count on WRAL for coverage of the vice president's visit all day. We will have live coverage of her speech today on WRAL.com and WRAL News Plus. This is a live look in Milwaukee right now, where the Republican National Convention will wrap up tonight with former President Trump taking center stage. This will be the first time he has addressed the nation since surviving that assassination attempt 5 days ago. He's expected to lay out his argument for why he should be given a second term in the White House. Trump's son, Eric, is also expected to speak, as well as former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo.
The third night of the Republican National Convention provided a chance for J.D. Vance to introduce himself to voters. The senator from Ohio took the stage last night as he officially accepted his nomination as vice president. The 39-year-old is the first millennial on a major party ticket. He grew up in rural poverty and served as a Marine before being elected to Senate. In his speech, he championed Donald Trump's America First approach. He also branded President Joe Biden as a career politician.
For half a century, he's been the champion of every major policy initiative to make America weaker and poorer. And in 4 short years, Donald Trump reversed decades of betrayals inflicted by Joe Biden and the rest of the corrupt Washington insiders.
The Biden campaign is painting Vance as extreme because of his stances on issues including abortion and the Affordable Care Act. You can find a full list of who will be speaking on the final day of the RNC by going to WRAL.com.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, more than 200 people without power in Durham right now. This is the Duke Energy map. You can see that number right here. But this number is down significantly from earlier this morning when there were more than 4,000 outages. Duke Energy is reporting the outage was caused by fallen trees or limbs damaging their equipment. Nick Perlin is in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. He is on his way to the scene, and we should look for a report from him coming up at 5 o'clock.
A Chapel Hill man accused of killing another man on Ashley Forest Road is due to make his first court appearance today. WRAL's cameras were rolling as police detained 45-year-old Mario Thompson yesterday. He is charged with murder in the shooting death of 37-year-old Adam Abdur Rahman. The shooting happened just after 1 Wednesday morning. Thompson is also accused of shooting into another person's home. William Rankin showed WRAL where the bullets hit in his home.
Here in the wall, and it bounced off and it landed right here in front of my door.
Thompson is being held without bond. His court appearance is set for 2 this afternoon. That wasn't the only instance of shots fired in Chapel Hill yesterday. Police arrested 37-year-old Anthony Tyson after they say he fired shots into the air on Franklin Street. Authorities say the shooting started after an argument escalated. No one was hurt.
Covering Wake County, the traditional school calendar will start soon, and the Wake County Salvation Army is worried they don't have enough school supplies for kids who need them. Volunteers have been collecting supplies like backpacks, notebooks, pencils, and paper. So far, donations have been slower to come in than normal. The children they serve mostly live in low-income homes or are experiencing homelessness.
What we try to do is make sure that we supply those school supplies for them, especially new. We don't want to give them old school supplies from like our thrift stores. We want to make sure we supply them with new school supplies so they can have a successful school year despite their living situation.
A joiner there you just heard from says if necessary, they can pick up donations from homes or businesses. The Salvation Army Center of Hope is located on 1863 Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh.
A sheriff's deputy on the coast is off the job after video appears to show him throwing an indigenous woman to the ground. This happened during a scuffle between a Native American group and people who live in a neighborhood where construction workers found indigenous artifacts. For weeks, WRAL has followed this controversy in the Bridgeview neighborhood in Carteret County. People who live there accused the Native American group of trespassing, and that's when the fight broke out. The group claims the man seen grabbing and slamming a woman to the ground is off-duty Onslow County Deputy James DeLeo. He's now charged with communicating threats, assault on a female, and filing a false police report.
President Biden tested positive for COVID while he was campaigning in Nevada. The president posted on social media he's feeling good, thanking everyone for the well wishes. The president's doctor said Biden was experiencing mild symptoms and had received his first dose of Paxlovid. Biden is self-isolating in Delaware this morning.
New this morning, President Biden is becoming more receptive to hearing why he should drop his re-election bid, according to Democrats briefed on his conversations. That's according to a report in the New York Times. This comes as a California Congressman, Adam Schiff, joins the growing list of Democrats calling for the president to step aside. Schiff wrote in a statement that it's time for Biden to pass the torch, saying, quote, "The stakes are just too high." Despite concerns, Democratic National Committee members say they plan to formally re-nominate Biden during the first week of August before the party's national convention. A new study about women's reproductive health and cancer is sounding alarms. What medical experts are revealing about the link between endometriosis and ovarian cancer.
And terrifying moments on a California beach after a teenager got trapped in a 6-foot deep sand hole. We'll show you how people rushed to help her.
And here's a live look at Apex. Today is a WRAL weather alert day. No rain falling now, but we do have a risk for severe storms this afternoon. Meteorologist Anthony Baglione is tracking that for us in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
Welcome back. It is 4:43 here. I'm meteorologist Anthony Baglione in for Elizabeth on this morning. Let's get us outside, though, because you can see this is a loop over the past about 6 hours on radar where we have seen some shower and storm activity pushing through. Even some of our northern counties there had some flash flood warnings that came out. Where we sit right now, though, I'll put on the loop over the past 15 minutes, much quieter. No issues out there to start your day. A little bit of shower activity there just south and east of Goldsboro, but the majority of us are going to be quiet. Where we start to see the potential for some storms comes in this afternoon. Let's say after 3 o'clock to about 8 o'clock or so. With this cold front in our direction, that will add some lift to the atmosphere, and that will add rain chances by that evening commute.
Greensboro police say 3 teenagers are dead and an officer is seriously injured after a high-speed chase. This is video from the scene Wednesday morning. Police say an officer spotted a car driving the wrong way on the road about 2:15 in the morning and tried to pull that driver over. The person sped away and a chase began. The driver then crashed into one of the responding patrol cars. 2 14-year-old boys and a 15-year-old boy were in that vehicle. All 3 died. The officer was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Police say they suspect the driver was impaired.
A stunning scene at the Republican National Convention last night is garnering attention this morning. A group of GOP senators chased Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle through the event space, demanding answers on the security breakdown that allowed a gunman to nearly kill former President Donald Trump.
This is exactly what you were doing today.
This was an assassination attempt. You owe the people answers. You owe President Trump.
Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn posted this video to X, writing, "The American people deserve answers from the Secret Service." In it, you can hear her and Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming yelling at Cheatle. The Department of Homeland Security is investigating the Secret Service's response to the shooting. Cheatle has been summoned to testify before Congress. This comes as several top Republicans call for her to resign.
There's an alarming new study about women's reproductive health and cancer. Researchers now say the risk of developing ovarian cancer appears to jump about 4-fold for women who have endometriosis. That's compared to women who haven't been diagnosed with the condition. Endometriosis also already shows links to ovarian cancer risks, but the new study found even higher cancer risks for some subtypes of the condition. Medical experts say people with endometriosis should not panic about the findings because ovarian cancer is still rare.
A major project breaks ground in Raleigh's 5 Points neighborhood this afternoon. The Oaks at Whitaker Glen is an active senior living community that has been in the works for several years. It's being built on East Whitaker Mill Road. Today's groundbreaking is scheduled for 4 o'clock.
Governor Roy Cooper announced more than $250 million for water projects in North Carolina, including funding to remove forever chemicals from drinking water. $30 million will go to the Fayetteville Public Works Commission to install a granular activated carbon filter. It's less than a third of the money needed to install the filter. The system will also cost $10 to $12 million a year to maintain. According to our own testing and the utilities data, the level of harmful chemicals in PWC drinking water is well above the new federal limit. Utilities have until 2029 to comply.
It was a race against the clock for lifeguards in San Diego, rushing to save a 16-year-old girl earlier this week. The teen was buried up to her neck in sand after getting stuck in a hole that was dug in the beach. To make matters worse, high tide was less than an hour away, which would have wet the sand, making it hard for her to breathe. The dry sand, though, brought its own challenges.
Every time we were scooping shovels and buckets of sand, there was more dry sand falling back down. Lifeguards advise do not dig deep holes. You know, if it's deeper than your waist, then that's the max you should go.
After 10 minutes of digging, lifeguards were able to rescue the girl out of the hole to the cheers of a crowd that had gathered. The hole was filled in after the rescue.
I've heard of those warnings before. City Council member Corey Branch is talking more about his decision to drop out of the Raleigh mayoral race. Branch announced he was running to be mayor last fall. Yesterday, days before the filing deadline, Branch said he's decided not to run so that he could focus on his district.
Since my initial announcement, my life has changed. And I also heard from a number of constituents who told me how much they valued what I brought to the city of Raleigh in District C, and they felt my continued service inside the district outweighed the opportunity to serve as mayor.
And Branch went on to say he will seek re-election for his District C council seat. 4 candidates now remain in the Raleigh mayoral race.
The remains of a local seaman killed in the attack on Pearl Harbor will return to North Carolina this evening. Seaman Joseph Rouse was listed as missing in action for 79 years until the military was able to confirm his identity 3 years ago. And this evening, he will be flown to RDU to be received by his living relatives who will lay him to rest here in North Carolina. The family will hold a memorial for Rouse this Saturday in Zebulon. It's 4:49 right now, and meteorologist Anthony Baglione will navigate us through this WRAL weather alert day. First, let's talk about the refreshing temperatures.
Yeah, to start off with this map where it's just a smidge cooler than this time yesterday. So that's a look at our 24-hour temperature change, especially up in South Hill, almost 10 degrees cooler. It's not hugely noticeable as you step outside this morning, but still comparatively, it may feel a little bit better. 78 there's where we currently start off in Raleigh. 74, good morning to you in Clinton. 75 also Rocky Mount, upper 70s for Goldsboro. As we go through today, though, the thing you will notice are dew points still in the 70s. It is still muggy. Those are not going to drop much. Once you get below 60 is where you start to get that more comfortable air. We go through today, though, 91 is going to be our high temperature as opposed to 96, 97, like we've seen sometimes this past couple of weeks, at least this pattern that we're in. It will feel closer to about 100 to 103. So no heat advisory today. That's progress, right? But we're still going to be a little toasty this afternoon. We're also watching that chance for some strong to severe storms. So let's take you through Futurecast, kind of explain why that is. Here's early this morning. We're looking fine. No problems as a bump Futurecast ahead here to about 7 o'clock or so. Maybe a spotty shower this morning. I think this is a little bit overdone, honestly, with that coverage. Lunchtime, we are still fine, getting some sunshine to peek through, but there's a cold front back to our north and west. And what it does is it adds lift into the atmosphere, forces that air ahead of it to kind of go up in the atmosphere, cool and condense in a sense. And that's why it brings that in our direction here later on after about, let's say, 3 o'clock or so. We get into the evening is when it should start to fizzle out as that front crosses. But before that happens, due to that cold front coming through, due to some of that turbulence in the atmosphere, 3 to 8 o'clock, we have that level 2 out of 5 risk for some strong to severe storms. What that entails, it would be potentially some gusty winds, I think would be our primary threat. Second on that list would be some localized flooding. If you know your area definitely tends to flood, that's what we're talking about with that. Hail and tornadoes would be very, very low potential. Anytime there's a severe risk, we have to include that, but I do think those potentials are pretty low. We look over the next 7 days, check out these rainfall totals. Still to come, 3 to 4 inches of rainfall across most of our viewing area. It drops down just a little bit up towards South Hill, 2 to 2.5 inches. That will really start to shake up our drought monitor, which, by the way, we'll get another update here this morning in the next couple of hours. I'll bring that to you when we get it, but I do anticipate us still needing to make at least a little bit of progress. 91 today, that will be the hottest day out of the next 7. 88 for us tomorrow. We're pretty much 87, 88, guys, the next 7 days or so, with rain chances all the way through Wednesday of next week.
Okay, so these extreme temperatures call for extreme measures for some people. If you're preparing for the apocalypse, Costco has you covered. We'll tell you what's inside the emergency food bucket. It's now gone viral online.
Costco has everything.
Yeah.
And Carol Burnett is making history at the age of 91. The recognition she's getting from Hollywood after her latest Emmy nomination.